We've been to the Last Supper, the Passover feast. Everything's eaten. I guess they've cleared up. They've sung a psalm or a hymn, and Jesus has declared that someone will betray him, one of the 12, and they're going out into the night. But just before that happens, Jesus carries on with this really interesting little event. Verse 27 of Mark 14. You will all fall away, Jesus told them, for it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered. But after I have risen, I will go ahead of you into Galilee. Peter declared, even if all fall away, I will not. Truly I tell you, Jesus answered, today, yes, tonight, before the cock crows twice, you yourself will disown me 3 times. But Peter insisted emphatically, even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you. And all the others said the same.
Yeah, well, I mean...
It's a devastating revelation, isn't it?
It is a devastating revelation. And, you know, if you were one of the 12, you could just about stomach the idea that one would betray.
Yeah.
But now to be told that all are going to fall away must have been a real sucker punch for them. And Jesus is saying that because that, again, is what has been prophesied in the Old Testament, and his total commitment to fulfill the Scriptures in every way is here. And you've got this powerful image, haven't you, of a shepherd. So Jesus is both the lamb and the shepherd. And the sheep are going to be scattered. And what happens to the sheep with no shepherd? Well, it lacks guidance. It's vulnerable to enemies. Whereas before, with the shepherd, it would move as a group. It's every sheep for himself, I suppose, when the shepherd is gone, isn't it? So it's a picture of, abandonment and vulnerability. And that's what's going to happen. That's what they're going to be like. They're going to scatter as the shepherd suffers.
And again, he knows that he'll be. There's this word strike. I will strike the shepherd. It reminds you of the stuff in Genesis 3, where the demon, the snake, is going to strike out at him, and then also the striking of the wrath of God upon him. There is this beating. There is this crushing and striking of the shepherd that's going to happen.
Yeah,
and they're all going to run away.
They're all going to run away. Yeah. And yet, there is hope for them, isn't there? In verse 28, but after I have risen, I will go ahead of you into Galilee. And it's almost as if to say that the voice of the shepherd is going to be silenced for a time, and you will all flee, but the voice of the shepherd will be heard again, and he will again call his flock, and he will go ahead of them. And so there's a little just ray of light and a ray of grace for them, isn't there? And yet Peter, I think is probably still focusing on the first part of what Jesus said, and is just so eager to claim that he himself will not be part of this, even though this has been promised in the Old Testament. Yeah. It's not going to be true of Peter.
Yeah, because he's a brave lad.
Yeah.
And actually, when it comes to the event of Jesus' arrest, which we will see next week in Gethsemane, he is brave. It's not that he's not brave. He's the one who draws a sword out. He's the one that has a go at the authorities. So there's a braveness about him. And he says, I'm with you. But Jesus, that's not what it's about. And then he eventually denies Jesus, doesn't he?
And I think that's his downfall, isn't it? Is that
trust in himself, isn't it?
It's his confidence in himself. And, he's not the only one. I mean, he insists emphatically, which would be interesting to look up just how powerful that expression is. I imagine very strong, but they all say the same, so they're all, and this is why they're going to be scattered, isn't it? Yeah. This is why, because they trust themselves. Yeah. Whereas really they should be saying, crumbs, help us, Lord. We want to be true to you. We want to be loyal to you. But in our own strength, we won't do it. So you need to help us.
And it's very kind of Jesus, isn't it, to connect his denial to this cock crowing. Because there's a reality about that, isn't it? It's like an alarm bell, which is what a cockerel crow is in many ways. And it's sort of waking him up, isn't it, in the morning to the truth of what he is. If Jesus had not connected it to that, he might have just gone through life sort of convincing himself he was okay, and not seeing what had happened. And again, it just shows you the intimate plan of Christ, and also his complete understanding of who Peter is. And then he places this cockcrow to just rub in that alarm. I told you, listen to my word.
And it's going to be, when he hears that noise, it is an incredibly humbling experience for him, because he insists emphatically that he won't. But when you get to it, you see that he emphatically denies. Yeah. I mean, he does so multiple times with increasing ferocity, doesn't he? I do not know. You know, and so actually to then hear that would be just like the sound of the cockerel, which would have just been normal to everybody else, would have just penetrated him in that way, as he connected it to what Jesus said.
I wonder what it was like for Peter every time he heard a cock crow.
After
he was forgiven.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
So you've got these disciples, and in one sense, Judas isn't the exception. I mean, I know he's selling. Yes. He's selling, and that is a further step. But all of the disciples are not that many steps behind Judas, are they? And so this isn't telling us that there are good disciples and bad disciples in one sense. This is telling us that actually even the disciples, all of us are in the same boat.
Yeah. It's not if you're a failure, it's what kind of failure are you, isn't it?
It is that.
That is something for us to take really seriously, isn't it? I can't remember where it is now, but the verse just come to my mind about the warning, be careful if you think you stand, because you may be about to fall. That's absolutely what we learn here, isn't it? Be careful if you think you're standing firm, and that you're above temptation and above denial, because that is a sure sign that we're on the way to a fall.
And when you go to John's Gospel, you see that in the restoration of Peter, Jesus does 3 times ask me, do you love me? Do you love me? And so this is the intimacy of Jesus with us, isn't it? He knows our falling, he knows our frailty, and he knows how to put us back and how to restore us, which is a very beautiful thing. Yeah. So I guess this was a really strong learning thing for Peter, however painful it was. He's going to learn just how amazing Jesus is, I think.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll leave it there.